Hey everyone, I wanted to make a video on this pure storage system before it goes out to a customer. This one is the X50r2 model, but really that's just the model of the controllers that are in it. This one has 20 9.1 terabyte drives. So each one of these is 9.1 terabytes, and that's a total of 182 terabytes. We'll remove one here. These are really what you're buying when you're getting a pure storage system. So they've got their logo in the heatsink, and then those are all the flash modules. And what makes these so cool is that there's actually no controller on here. At least I don't think there is. Maybe there isn't on the new ones, but so the CPU does all of the what a normal flash module controller would do, or like an SSD controller. So the CPU's in the back does all that apparently. It's kind of weird how they have this set up here. They have 0 through 3, 4 through 7, 11 through, or 8 through 11. And then they have this huge chunk right here. I don't really get the layout, but up here, these are nvme modules used for cache. Light, okay, LED is not still on, but it's just 7 gigabytes of nvme. I'll lock it back in there. There's 2 of them in this one. These are just blanks, so not that interesting. There's not much else on the front panel to really look at. I mean, they have the typical tag for identification. That's a little connector for the lights in the front panel, some identificator LEDs, some USBs. Each one of those goes to a separate one of the controllers. On the back, it's a little more interesting, but the cool stuff is up front. These are the power supplies. These are each 1200 watts. Right there. Delta, good brand. They're hot swappable, of course. And these are the controllers. This one doesn't really have a super insane configuration, so it's just an Ethernet, fiber Ethernet card right there. And there's 4 Ethernet ports, or fiber Ethernet ports. They're not fiber channel, I guess. 4 of them there. You get these. These are for the disk, the extra disk shelves. And then these are the management ports, so you can connect to the management interface. There's a KVM cable. Grab it. It's kind of weird how they chose this as the KVM cable. But, so it's right here. This is a IBM pin cable, or at least it was used in those. It's a special type of connector. It's an 81Y2889. So you can use these cables from IBM systems, or Lenovo now, I guess, to actually connect to this system. But it's a really old and odd sort of standard for KVM. There's USB 3.0 ports. I'll take out one of the controllers so you can see it. 1 screw. The system's out. These don't even have any screws. It's actually kind of nice. You just slide it off. There's the backplane connectors, fans. The fans are all removable, of course. That's kind of weird because you have to take the whole controller out. So, I mean, I don't really know why they'd have to be like hot swappable like this. The CPUs are Intel Xeon Silver 4116s, dual, of course. 192 gigs of RAM, DDR4. The boot drive is 150 gigabytes. That's a Intel, I think. Can't really tell. This is a QLogic Ethernet card. That's with the fiber modules. All the other internet's built in. You can also put a fiber channel card in here. And then these are for the disk shelves. This is built in with pure storage. This whole thing lifts up and it will come out. There we go. Just a whole module. So we'll put it back in safely. All right, it's back on. And I would show the other controller, but they're the same, so why even waste the time? I'll put this back in and we'll get it booted up and we'll look at the software. All right, so we booted up the system. It's very temporary setup for this. All green, all good. Put back on the faceplate here. It's a really nice looking system. There's not that many people will be able to see it in the center. It runs Purity OS, which is just a fork of Ubuntu. And we'll get logged in here. I'm going to cut to when I'm logged in. Usually when you boot these systems up, they do a flash module tune-up. So you have to wait for this to complete. It takes about a minute to 2 minutes. And then once that completes, it'll be ready for you to actually start the Pure services. Alright, so the flash modules have been tuned up, and then we will start the Pure management services, and we're online. So then we can go to the computer, load the IP address of the management interface, and I'll sign in and give a tour of this. Okay, so we're logged in now. You can see there's our permission roll. I would screen record, but it's just easier to do it on my phone. I'm going to edit this together. We're not even using the array right now. Let's go through some of the dashboards. So these are the menus that we have. We have the storage protection, the analysis, settings. And there's nothing really on it, so it can't really be that interesting, but we can set this up for iSCSI in here. Here's the protection groups, analysis. You can look at all the speed settings through time. There's the health, so you can look at all the health in here. There's the nvme flash module. There's one of the direct flash modules. Power supply. Those are the management ports. And then here we have all the connections. You can change the network settings in here. Actually, network settings are in settings. So you can change all the network settings in here. And then if you have a Pure subscription support service, you can update the software in here. But if you don't have that, you'll notice that there's the admin guides and the command line reference guide. These are really useful if you're trying to figure out stuff. So this has a guide of all of the commands in it. And this is the guide for the management interface. The system they have right there has 3 extra disk shelves on it, so it's a great system. That's the whole management interface. There's much more, but if it was set up, it would be a little bit more interesting just implementing it. I'll do a short little tour of the command line interface now at the local terminal. Okay, so here we are in the command line. So to get to the help, you just type in Pure help. You'll notice pretty much every command in here starts with Pure. So any stuff that you're changing with the the actual Pure system uses all the Pure commands. So I mean, you saw earlier I used Pure ADM. Start, and that will start and stop the the management interface and basically the system software. But there's many other commands in here. You can do everything on here, just like you can do it on the management interface. Of course, it's a little bit slower on here because you have to do the typing in all the commands. Now we can run a hardware check right here by calling hardware check.py. And that will go through and check all of the hardware in here. We'll turn all well as well. Everything is. And you can run it on both controllers, since both controllers are pretty much independent, but they both have connections to the drives. Okay, so now let's shut down the system. So we're going to do Pure ADM stop. That will stop Pure services. And while I do that, on the controller 1, I'm going to do it on controller, well, technically that's controller 0, this is controller 1. connect to the first controller. Okay, it's in there. And here, start. And then I'm gonna go back to the first one. DFM in there. Now we're here. Pure storage is offline. And we will use a command called pure boot. Power off. You cannot use power off like a normal Ubuntu system. It'll tell you that you have to use pure boot, and then you have to add in the flag offline. And that'll turn off the system. And then we will turn this one off too. So you notice, even though both controllers are now off, the system is still on. And this is because, you know, if one controller fails and the whole system will stay on, there's not really a way to it's not really a power switch for the system. So we'll just flip the power switch and then the system will turn off. So there it is. That's the Pure Storage Flash Array X50r2 system. It's really an impressive piece of equipment and probably a sign of changing times for how information will be stored. They're new flash modules. These are pretty old. These are the 9.1 terabytes models. The new ones store 75 terabytes, which is, I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous, but it's not at a price where it's easy for consumers to get yet. Now, Pure expects that they'll be up to 300 terabytes per drive. I'll pull out one of the drives. So they expect to get up to 300 terabytes for each one of these in, I think, 2026, which is, I mean, it's amazing. You can fit that many ones and zeros on these little flash modules. I mean, yeah, these are just so old compared to what they'll eventually be. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tour of this Pure Storage system. Just wanted to do a quick little software and mostly hardware overview before I shipped it off to a customer.